Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. My name is Soleil and I garden in a Zone 5B in mid-Michigan, and I have been away from the garden for 11 days. It is the longest I have ever been away from the garden since my honeymoon 13 years ago, so it's pretty crazy, but I'm happy to be back. And I have been looking around at all of the things in the garden really briefly, and I'm pleased to say that almost everything survived. I had my sister taking care of some of my potted plants, which is fantastic, and she did a great job of it. So thank you so much to my sister for doing that. And I did have one emergency when I came out here last night to take a brief look around. I saw that my vanilla strawberry hydrangea had taken a little bit of a beating from some rain. So let's take a look at that real quick. So I noticed right away that it wasn't as tall as normal, and actually it has bounced back quite a bit since last night. What I did was I came straight out here and I took some stretchy garden tape and I tied the branches together because basically they were laying down like almost horizontal. Now I did come through also and trim off some of the lower branches, which means I took off some blooms, but I made a beautiful bouquet out of those, so I'm okay with it. You know, make some lemonade out of the lemons that you're given, but it still looks really great. It's still bushy. It's definitely perking it back up after all of that rain. You know, they really needed to dry off. They were still wet last night, so I thought I'm going to take some off and then we'll see how it does tomorrow. And it's doing great, so I'm really happy with that. And you can see there's some leaves on the ground there, but that's just from pulling off the leaves from the stems of the hydrangeas to make the bouquet, which is incredibly lush. I did get a little bit of flopping over here on the strawberry sundae, but that too is starting to lift up after the rain is drying off, so I may not have to do any trimming on that one. And I did do a little bit of trimming over here on the berry white hydrangea, but not too much, just a couple of blooms that were really weighing it down, because I think a lot of it is going to perk back up today. It's just, it has such massive blooms on it that when they get wet, they do bend over, and it has had a lot of extra growth on it, so it's been pretty good. We do have some deadheading to do in the garden, so we're going to get after some of that today. But all in all, just taking a look around, things are looking really good, really beautiful. Lots of flowers everywhere. The alliums are starting to bloom, so the pollinators are everywhere. They are super happy about all of the flowers right now. And yeah, I can't wait to get some stuff cleaned up today so that then when we're ready for our tour this weekend, everything will look good for you. So we'll do some deadheading. My hubby's going to get out and do the lawn and some trimming because the grass has definitely gotten quite long. But I think it's going to look great when we're done. So let's get after some of it. Well, I don't know where I left my regular Felcos after vacation, so I'm just going to use my other ones, but they should be fine. I shouldn't be doing anything heavy duty today. I hate when that happens. I'm sure they're around the garden someplace, hopefully not getting rusty. So I think these lilies are completely 100% gone over. They probably will not give me any rebloom. But right now, we're seeing these millennial alliums that are really taking the show. And as soon as the sun comes up and things warm up today, I tell you what, we are going to see a pollinator show. I love it. And these things are so easy to divide and transplant. I've put them in many places throughout the garden because of that, and because the pollinators love them so much, and they're a great splash of color late in the season. Also see some spent leaves that are in here that are just kind of turning yellow and brown, so I'm pulling those out while I'm here. Might as well. And a giant weed. I have a pot with a boxwood that's back in here. You can't even see the boxwood right now. There's so much growth on everything. It's quite amazing. All right, we also need to get over here in this corner. I also have some dead raspberry branches back here I'm just clipping off because they look pretty ugly. All right, I think that looks so much better, doesn't it? Everything all cleaned up, nice and tidy, and just beautiful colors. So the next spot we're gonna go tidy is out in the front garden, and I have some daisies we need to clean up. So let's go do that. So everything here in the front garden did pretty darn well, and those bobos are starting to bloom, but I do need to trim back these blue veronicas right there. Those are the ever after, and then I need to get after these daisies right here because these daisies are definitely gone over. These are the goldfinch daisies, so we're just gonna cut those back pretty hard. All right, let's get after it. I have some daisies in the back garden as well. I don't know what happened to them. I just walked by them and they look horrible. I don't know, something like stripped all the leaves off while I was gone and ate it, but I can tell that the bunny had a great time while I was gone trying to eat some heucheras. And it's a baby bunny, so it doesn't realize that it doesn't actually like the heucheras. And so it just basically snips the leaves off and leaves the leaves all over the place, and then it keeps trying the next one and the next one until it finally decides that, gosh, heucheras are not my favorite food. I think I'm going to stop eating them. While I'm here, I'm going to cut back this yarrow because it looks like it has gone over a bit. Help encourage a nice new flush of blooms, hopefully. I am noticing some slight reblooms happening on my dianthus, so that's cool. So I know this looks pretty drastic, but it's the best way for me to hope to encourage a possible rebloom on these daisies. I do see some buds on this new stalk right here, so that's encouraging. I haven't been away from the garden for more than a week since my husband and I went on our honeymoon. And that was 13 and a half years ago. So this was quite the adventure. And my garden was a little bit smaller back then. Didn't have quite as many perennials in it. But I think the preparation that I did in terms of cutting things back and making sure everything was well watered the day before we left really helped. Also just goes to prove how resilient nature is. Now this Veronica, I'm going to be a little kinder to. I'm just going to snip the taps off of it because that should help to encourage. I see some little buds that are setting. So I'm being a little bit more delicate here with my pruners, just cutting off the tops. I'm going to cut back these drumstick alliums while I'm here as well. These geraniums are really getting a bit crazy too, so we'll cut a little bit back on those. Make sure the Veronica has some space. Here we go. Now this Ever After Veronica that I'm cutting back right now, I planted in the garden last year. So I don't really know how well it's going to rebloom or not, but it's always worth trying. And usually try for a couple of years before I make the decision that something's not going to rebloom due to deadheading, because they do need to get established pretty well. Based on what happened while we were gone, I would say we have had more rainfall than is normal for us this time of year. This time of year is usually when things look kind of dry and brown. But, you know, I'm not seeing that right now in the garden, so we definitely had our drought period early on in the summer this year and not so much now. Now in this garden bed, I do also want to come in here and clip back some of this yarrow, because I just think it looks a little bit crazy and sloppy. I have tried many times to dig up the yarrow and to dig up the oregano in this garden bed with no long-term success. So I just kind of let it grow, and then I come in and trim it like this when it's needed. And I know I am fairly aggressive about it, but it just looks messy to me if I don't do it. And it only takes a few minutes. Now you might be able to see we even have some blooms on this oregano, and that was the original reason why I bought it. But boy, does it spread everywhere. And it's really hard to get rid of. But this is going to allow you to really see the bobos until they, start to put on a little bit more height and width. I want to make sure that I keep some of this extra foliage away. That way we can really enjoy those hydrangeas. Some of these mums are even creeping up on it, and I tried to pull them away so that the hydrangeas have space, but they also are kind of creeper plants. Since it rained, I'm actually just going to pull a couple of these things up back here. Hopefully that will keep them from running into the hydrangeas. Okay, well that looks so much better. I do see some mums in front of this bobo that are right here that I'm going to pull really quick because they are definitely creeping in on it. Just a couple of them will give enough space, and we'll still get the mums out in front of it for the color. There we go. Okay, I got some more from around the boxwoods as well, and I think that looks even better. You don't want the supporting actors to take over the star of the show, right? Excellent. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video and got to see what it looks like a little bit when I spend a lot of time away from my garden and how I have to clean up just like everybody else. I've got a lot more work to do, and I think it'll be great when it's done, and I can't wait to show you a tour. All right, well thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next time. Bye!